going on, everybody? Welcome into the Bulls Report by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman. Coming up on today's show, I wanted to talk about Zach LaVine and dive into the idea of trading him to the Utah Jazz, as K.C. Johnson did report that the Jazz have been monitoring the Zach LaVine trade situation. So we'll dive into that on the first half of today's show. And then later, I have always been in this camp that the Bulls need to bring back Patrick Williams. But now after the Josh Giddey trade, I think it is more prevalent than ever that the Bulls need to re-sign Patrick Williams at all costs this summer. So we'll dive into that on the second half of today's show. But before we get into it, guys, if you want the Bulls to just make one more big move, I need you to like today's show because I think this Josh Giddey trade is going to end up being a good one. However, if the Bulls don't make any more moves, I think this could be a disaster if they try to run it back. So get the good vibes going, send a message to the front office, and like today's show if you want the Bulls to make another move. But K.C. Johnson of NBC Sports Chicago did write up an article talking about Zach LaVine after the Giddey trade, saying league sources reiterated that the Bulls remain active on several trade fronts, centered around Zach LaVine, including with the Utah Jazz and Philadelphia 76ers. Does this take a step-back move make DeMar DeRozan consider unrestricted free agency more strong? I thought that was a good point by KC. With the Bulls maybe shifting towards this youth movement where they're not going all in on next season, maybe DeMar is looking at the situation saying maybe I'll just go test my luck in free agency instead of coming back to Chicago like he previously said he would love to do. So, where does this stand with the Bulls and Zach LaVine? I don't think the Philadelphia 76ers, are viewing LaVine as a primary option. Maybe if they strike out on Paul George or another big name, then they could hit up LaVine, but I still feel like that is incredibly unlikely. But the Utah Jazz, I'll tell you what, the more I looked into it, the more I thought about it, I could easily see the Jazz trying to pair up two former Chicago Bulls in Lauri Markkanen and Zach LaVine and have that be, their foundational pieces moving forward. But what could the Jazz offer? So let's talk about it. This was a trade I cooked up. It does work if the Bulls trade Zach LaVine for John Collins, and also after the fact the Bulls did get a player trade exception from the Caruso trade of $2.8 million. So contracts match up here. And then also the Jazz own the 10th pick in the NBA draft. So I just said John Collins and pick 10 for Zach LaVine, as I think this would be a hell of a deal for the Chicago Bulls. Would the Jazz do this? Not really too sure, but hey, they've been stuck in the purgatory zone of the NBA for the last couple of years, and with where the Western Conference is going, like that Jazz team just needs more talent on the roster, and LaVine definitely fits that bill. But let's talk about John Collins here, who had a pretty good year for the Utah Jazz this past season. He's traded there after he left the Atlanta Hawks a season ago. In 28 minutes a game, he averaged 15.1 points a night, 8.5 rebounds, and he was very, very efficient from the field at 53.2% and on three-pointers. He shot 37.1%. But the thing about John Collins, it's either everything is at the rim or everything is a catch-and-shoot three. That's his game, and he did that at a high level. 37.6% on 3.6 attempts per game for John Collins this past season. One of the best shooters of the basketball on that pick-and-pop play in the NBA. And then also from the free throw line down, he was really good as well. 63.1% from Collins. I like his game, that, stretch forward with that high-end athletic ability. Kind of reminds me of that like Aaron Gordon mold, which I feel like those, physical power forwards have gone undervalued amongst NBA teams. And the Bulls could swoop in and land him for Zach LaVine, sign me up. And that would create a young core for Chicago. Like, this is not out of the realm of possibility that this is the 8 that the Bulls build around. If they do get that trade for John Collins and pick 10, you would have him at 26 years old, Kobe White and Ayo Dosunmu both at 24, Patrick Williams at 22, and I'll explain why the Bulls need to bring him back here in a second. Then you even still got Dalen Terry, who's been working out, a ton this offseason. I've seen a ton of videos, and he's looking pretty good at 21, and then Josh Giddey at 21 as well. And then you got 2 picks at pick 10 and pick 11. That could be your core. That could be the, youth movement that we have been all begging for, and it is here. Like, I would be shocked if the Bulls, just take this Josh Giddey trade and it's like that's all they do. Like, I really hope that's not the situation, because you need to just embrace this youth movement. Even though you won't be better this upcoming year, you set yourself up for being, hopefully a contender in 3, 4, or 5 years. But who are some players the Bulls could take if they would get that number 10 pick? what I would like for them to do, what if you just take the Colorado guys? What if you just take Tristan DeSilva and Cody Williams at pick 10 and 11? You have the more, polished player in DeSilva who has that ability to knock down the three-point ball. And then you got Cody Williams, where it's that more defensive-minded wing, where he is more of a developmental pick. But again, I would like him as well. He gives me shades of Jaden McDaniels. But then you also got guys like Connect, Jared McCain. Now, Jared McCain, he would be an interesting option for the Bulls as they don't have a true shooter on the roster. And maybe they say our four-man backcourt, if they do move off Lonzo Ball, is Kobe White, Ayo, Giddey, and then McCain, where you have a shooter, you got an offensive-minded guy, you got a defensive-minded guy, and then you got a guy who, is mainly a playmaker in Josh Giddey, but then also you got a guy like Dalton Connect there as well. So if this is the trade that would be going down for the Bulls for Zach LaVine, I think this would be a steal. Again, not sure if the Jazz do this. I honestly, guys, just being fully transparent, I don't know what LaVine's value is right now. Like, a lot of people are telling me the Bulls are going to have to attach picks, but I just don't think that's the case. I still think he has some value, but I don't know. I really don't know. But you guys let me know. Would you accept this deal? Give me an A for accept or a D for decline down in the comment section. And if you're a Jazz fan watching this show, I would love to get your thoughts if you would do this deal. Give me an A for accept or a D for decline. All right, let's talk about why I think the Bulls should bring back Patrick Williams. Because after this trade, I think it is clear that the Bulls are shifting towards a youth movement, and the Bulls have, one of the best up-and-coming 3-and-D players already on their team in Patrick Williams. But there was a report that he turned down a 4-year, $64 million deal last offseason. So he kind of bet on himself heading into this year. Did it work out necessarily? No, because he left the season due to or he was out for the rest of the year due to injury. So, it was an interesting, play by him. But, the Bulls stand right now. They can make him an offer of $12.9 million, and then they can obviously match whatever deal. If he, let's just say, we heard the Thunder are interested in him. Maybe they offer him, 4 for $80. The Bulls can obviously match whatever it is. And I think the Bulls need to do that at all costs. And I got 4 reasons for it. Number one, I've been saying it, the youth movement. Like, with where the Bulls are at right now, he is a 22-year-old player. He has still all types of potential in this league to be one of the best 3-and-D players we see in the NBA. And if you just, want to continue, developing your own and, building that chemistry with Kobe White, with Ayo Dosunmu, like, I can't pound the table enough. Like, you need to build chemistry in this league, and Patrick Williams and already the, the repertoire he has with White and Dosunmu, like, I just see no reason not to bring him back. And then, his archetype of being that 6'7", can guard multiple positions, can knock down the three-point shot. I mean, he is a 40% three-point shooter. We said his biggest concern coming out of college was him shooting the basketball. He has already shown an improvement there, and that's why it gets me to the number 3. Like, we've already seen the growth in his game. We have already seen him, take that three-point shooting to the next level. So, with where Patrick Williams is, he would be one of those guys, I promise you, if he would leave the Bulls, his career would take off. Like, he would be the same as a Lauri Markkanen, where he went to Cleveland, had a good year, then he finally got, a higher chance of opportunity with the Utah Jazz, and then his game took off, and he's going to be an all-star for the next 5, 6, 7 years here in the Western Conference. So, those are 3 reasons, and also this, more opportunities. I think we have seen that as Bulls fans firsthand, that, when a star player goes out and you have a younger player step into a spot, you can see that development. I mean, we saw it with Kobe and Ayo this past season. Immediately when Zach LaVine went out, we saw their games take another level. And I think a lot of people, just assume that, Ayo Dosunmu hit a wall or Kobe White hit a wall and they couldn't, take that next step. But we saw it. Once those opportunities presented themselves, we saw more just, more production from them, and we saw just more out of their game. And I'll tell you what, you go throw on a Patrick Williams highlight tape, you see the potential. You see his one-dribble pull-up looking like Kawhi Leonard. You see his athleticism, and he's got an ability to guard multiple positions. I would bring him back. Honestly, I don't see any reason not to, but maybe you guys disagree with me, and I would really love to get your guys' thoughts on this, especially if you don't think they should re-sign P-Dub. But, hey, would you re-sign him? Give me a Y for yes or an N for no. And if you are typing your N's for no's, I would appreciate if you guys kind of, followed up your thoughts a little bit more down in the comments section. And always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Support on the channel has been awesome, following this Caruso trade. So thank you so much, as always. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the Bulls Report here on YouTube. Stay up to date on the latest around your favorite basketball team. See you guys next time. As always, go Bulls.